Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Brothers and sisters, we are back for another video on the subject of Bitcoin and crypto, one of my favorite subjects. It's been a while since the last video. There have been a few changes, a few updates, but we'll have a look at that today, inshallah azza wa jal. First things first, Bitcoin has reached $100,000. I think this is reason enough for people to consider Bitcoin a bit more seriously, especially Muslims. And since the last video, since the last discussion, there have been a few updates. There are a few mashayikh who were neutral, who came around to the idea or leaned towards the ruling that Bitcoin is permissible. I remember last time we spoke about the ruling of Bitcoin, and we gave some opinions of the scholars on the issue and showed that there was khilaf. And since that time, a few scholars have changed their opinion. From them, for example, Mutlaq Al-Jasir, the Kuwaiti scholar, very famous scholar. He has a podcast on economic issues, on financial issues. For those who can, I advise watching the podcast. It's very beneficial. Another sheikh that changed his opinion is the Sheikh Saad Al-Khathlan, a famous scholar in Saudi Arabia who is very well versed on financial and economic issues. And he also, in a recent Q&A video, mentioned that he now sees Bitcoin and crypto as halal and permissible.
وأنا قد سئلت في هذا البرنامج في حلقات سابقة وكنت قد توقفت، ثم ظهر لي بعد التباحث وبعد أيضا سؤال بعض المختصين أن التعامل بهذه العملات أنه لا بأس به.
So for those of you who remember, in the last video I kind of predicted this. I mentioned that, with time and more research, more and more scholars would probably lean towards the opinion and the idea that Bitcoin and crypto is permissible. Even though, of course, some scholars seem to still remain neutral and some scholars still seem to take the opinion that it is not permissible. I have a small list that I updated recently. It's not comprehensive, but it does give a small idea of where some of the scholars are on this issue. Now, that's an update on the ruling. Now, of course, I mentioned last time as well that I believe the discussion surrounding Bitcoin particularly, but crypto in general, is not necessarily whether it's halal or not, but rather is it wajib or not. And I predict, even though I could be wrong, but we'll see how this plays out, but I do predict that maybe the discussion is going to go towards that direction in the coming years for Muslims and tulab ilm and ulama. And as I mentioned last time, the reason for why it makes more sense for the discussion to be centered around wujub, yani whether Bitcoin and crypto is obligatory or not, is because Bitcoin and crypto definitely represent an alternative to the current banking system. And the current banking system, fiat currency, not only do you lose more money due to inflation, and when you have money in your bank account, for example, let's say you have 20,000 euros, $30,000, and you keep it there for 5, 10, 15 years, you're actually losing money, even though the number stays the same due to inflation, which is a primary aspect of fiat currency, because they print more money, hence there will always be more inflation based on this system, and inflation means that the currency loses its value. It means that all the money you save up in your bank account in reality is going to lose value over time. So already from a financial point of view, it's not interesting to have fiat currency or to hold money in the bank due to how the system is set up. But of course, as Muslims, this is not our main concern. Our main concern is the haram that goes on in this banking system. Most notably the fact that this banking system has the riba and interest at every corner. In fact, the entire banking system is based on riba. And the only reason we have bank accounts with fiat currency and so on is because we don't really have a choice. So now that we know that there could be an alternative to that system, and this alternative helps us to keep away or to exit the haram and riba banking system, which is interest based, and of course, there's other haram going on with it, certain investments and so on. Well, that's another topic. But the point is, now that we know that there is a legitimate alternative to be considered, doesn't it become obligatory due to the current context, not because Bitcoin is obligatory in and of itself, but due to the current context and how the system is set up, shouldn't it become obligatory to move towards Bitcoin and crypto? I think that's definitely a conversation worth having. And I'm leaning more and more towards this idea. And if I have any book or reading to recommend on the subject, I do recommend this book right here, which is like the Bible of Bitcoin, meaning one of the most important works on Bitcoin, which is by brother Saifedean Ammous, Palestinian brother. So this book, The Bitcoin Standard, firstly is a history of money. It speaks about the current banking system. And then it delves into how Bitcoin could be an alternative to that and how Bitcoin is set up in the history of Bitcoin. So I definitely, recommend reading this particular work. And there are other works as well, but I think this one is the most important. And it definitely makes you think and it motivates you to keep away from the banking system as much as possible. So that is food for thought. Definitely much to learn and very interesting. And it goes back to the idea that investing in Bitcoin and crypto means that your money won't necessarily be losing value due to inflation, and it won't be part of the questionable, or actually not even questionable, haram banking system that we're kind of forced to be in. But seeing how Bitcoin is set up, it's most likely and it's most probable, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, that it will continue to rise and it will continue to grow and increase in value. Some experts believe that Bitcoin is soon to reach $150,000, $200,000, and maybe in the next few years, maybe $500,000 to $1 million. So it's probably a good way to keep your savings safe from inflation because it just keeps going up and keeps increasing over time. So we'll see. Who knows? Allah knows best, the heights that it can reach. But we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that, inshallah. Of course, keeping your Bitcoin and crypto safe means being very careful, very diligent. There is less security in crypto right now than there is in the banking system, of course. So it's not impossible to be scammed or to be hacked. So there have been some people complaining about losing all of their crypto, finding zero in their wallet and in their portfolio, being scammed and hacked and so on. Beware of this. There are ways to protect yourself, to protect your money and your savings. Of course, consider getting a physical wallet, which would strengthen your ownership, and also research the various ways in which you can get hacked. Then put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and things will be fine, inshallah. Of course, some may ask, okay, we've spoken about Bitcoin. What about what we call altcoins, meaning alternative coins, all the coins that are not Bitcoin, such as, for example, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano, Dogecoin, and the list goes on. And of course, brothers and sisters, this is a little bit difficult because there are thousands and thousands of altcoins. So it's a little bit difficult to get a ruling for each altcoin. But the general principle in the Sharia is that if a coin is accepted and considered legitimate, the asl is that it is halal. Because the asl in transactions is that transactions are permissible until proven otherwise. Of course, here I would advise being cautious, taking precautions. Solana and Ethereum, from what I've seen, are generally considered permissible and halal, well-established, legitimate. I think when it comes to altcoins, there is more of a problem regarding meme coins. So in terms of meme coins, there is discussion or doubt on the actual value of these coins. So be careful, be cautious, do your research, and inshallah ta'ala, maybe in a few years' time, we will have more clear answers for a lot of these coins, inshallah. Of course, we can address one more issue for this video, which is the idea of staking. Many of the coins that I've mentioned, Ethereum and Solana and Cardano, for example, they offer a service called staking. And staking basically means that you put up your coins or you block your coins in order to strengthen the coin system. So you put your coins to use in order to strengthen the blockchain or whatever system the coin uses for transactions. And in return, the system generates more coin for you, meaning there is more money for you. And of course, at first glance, this could be considered, or at least this resembles riba. So is it riba or not? This is the question. Is it interest or not? Now, first of all, brothers and sisters, staking is a broad term. I think staking needs to be researched for each coin. What does it really entail? What does it really mean? On a coin by coin basis. Now that being said, even though it resembles riba, there are certain things in staking that seem to not fulfill the conditions of riba. And of course, I'm not giving a fatwa here, I'm just adding to the discussion. These things usually become clearer over time. So we'll see, inshallah. But based on the general research and the general concept of staking, there are a few things that put a doubt on the question whether it's riba or not. And I'll mention a few very quickly, which is firstly, can we consider that when you buy a coin and keep it in your wallet or in your Coinbase account or whatever account you use, can we consider that this is a loan? Because when you put your money in the bank, that's literally a loan, and everybody knows this. There is no khilaf, there is no discussion on this. Your money in the bank is a loan. Meaning that when you put money in the bank, this is literally money you have loaned the bank, because they can then do with this money what they want. And once you retrieve it, then this is the bank paying you back. Which is why sometimes the bank does not have the money, and they can't pay you back. Look at what happened in Lebanon a few years back, and maybe it's still going on, where people went to the bank and bank said, well, sorry, we can't give you the money that's in your account. We don't have it right now. So anyway, point is, that's how the banking system works. Do coin wallets or portfolios work in the same way? As far as I can tell, it's not the same system. Coin wallets resemble more the wakala system, meaning they are custodians of your coin, of your money. But it's not loaned out to them. You're the one that actually possesses the coin, and they can't do with the coin whatever they want. They keep it for you, and you can take it whenever you want. So I don't think it's an actual loan, because the money is still yours, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But if we are to say that it is a loan, yani if we come to the conclusion that it's a loan, then this, of course, makes staking problematic. Why? Because the ulama mentioned the qaida, the principle, in financial transactions. The ulama, they say, كُلُّ قَرْضٍ جَرَّ نَفْعًا فَهُوَ رِبًا. Any loan that gives extra benefit, then it is considered riba. So the ruling on staking will largely depend on whether you keeping your coin in an account or in a wallet constitutes as riba, as interest. But another sign that it's not interest is the fact that this coin is generated and is not taken from somebody else. So in a riba system, there's somebody who loses the money and somebody who gains the extra money. But in this system, that's not the case, because the coin is generated. Al-Muhim, these are my thoughts for now. Things can change. Things might become more clear over time. We'll see, inshallah ta'ala. I would definitely advise to be careful, to be cautious of staking. Look, if these things are doubtful, it's honestly best to stay away from them. So that's it for now, brothers and sisters. We'll see how things play out in the future, and maybe we'll be back soon for a third video on Bitcoin and crypto. Barakallahu feekum jami'an. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.